Welcome to episode 15 of the Young Adult's Guide to Planet Earth, the podcast where we try to figure out life through good conversation. I'm your host, Clayton Hamrick, and joining me as always is Sid Warren. What's up, Sid?
Nothing much. I'm doing great.
I could see you over there thinking really hard about what to say right then.
I was, as always.
And we also have Hunter Baumgartner. Hunter.
I'm sick.
You're sick?
I have
You're not sick.
a slight cold. Yeah, I've been.
Really?
I have like I'm congested in my nose. If you can't
I didn't
tell
even
from my
notice.
voice.
Well, that's too bad because you got to do a podcast right now.
Right into the mic. Yes.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about 5 things we wish we knew when we were 18.
And we're all 22. So
23.
it's been, well,
You're
22 and 23.
And then me and Hunter are 23.
You're 23, Hunter?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm old.
So it's
You're not that old.
Well, it's kind of like what we wish we knew 5 years ago.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago.
5 things we wish we knew 5 years ago.
There we go, dude. I didn't even think about that. Except that for you it's 4 years, so it doesn't work.
I'll be 23 for today. just say that.
All right, but first of all, as always, we have the quote of the week. But this is not a quote. This is more of a, I don't know what to call it, but I gotta go find it.
Call it what it is, man.
I gotta go find it in my screenshots because I screenshot it. There it is. So I'm gonna ask you guys a question. So imagine this. If you had $86,400 in your bank account, that's a lot of money. If you had that much money and someone stole $10, would you like give up everything to go hunt them down and get revenge?
No.
No.
All right. So you would move on and just live your life with the $86,390.
I'm
Yeah.
sure he could have needed that. I mean, if he went through all that to steal $10, then by all means take it.
Okay,
you need
so
it more than me.
you just need to move on and live because there's 86,400 seconds in every day. So if somebody comes and messes up 10 seconds of your day, just move on with it, man.
I like that.
Just let it go.
Nice.
Because that's such a little thing compared
do
to
it.
everything you got.
Time's
I've been doing
expensive.
really good with that. If you've been listening, you know that in the past I've had some problems with traffic and frustration. But I had to drive my mom to Charlotte in rush hour, both ways, there and back, and I was calm the whole time. I was so proud of myself. I was jamming out to some music, just sitting there thinking.
I had
That was nice.
I had a little bout of road rage yesterday, but it was this whole 10-second thing where I didn't like let it haunt me for the rest of the day. But I was doing a U-turn, and there was a bunch of people turning right, and the U-turn has to yield to the right turn.
Yeah.
And the guy behind me was just honking his horn at me. I'm like, dude, I literally can't go right now.
Yeah.
Like, if you knew the rules of the road, you would understand.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
But it was the same thing. Like I said, like, it was over with in 10 seconds, and I didn't really think about it anymore. But
Yeah.
in the moment, man, it was just so frustrating.
I think that's a good thing for a lot of people to hear because I've had things happen that have bothered me for hours afterwards, and that's
Man,
that's
yeah.
ridiculous. I mean,
I understand that, but
yeah.
For me, it's like if I set a time to be somewhere and I'm on the road and people are holding me up, I get so frustrated. But if I don't have a set time and I need to be somewhere, like, then I'm just like chill. So
Yeah.
for me, it's just like the rushing.
I used to be
part.
that way, but now I've realized, like, if I get to somewhere 5 minutes late, the people usually don't care that much.
Yeah.
Like, in the grand scheme of things, so I'm so much more relaxed about it now. I mean, if I'm going to be an hour late, then I'm not even that worried, because all I got to do is text the people or call into work or whatever. I mean, it's just, like, there's workarounds.
Yeah,
It's not as big of a deal as you think it is in the moment. So, all right, I guess let's move into our main topic. So we're going to start with Sid. What is one of the things that you wish? We each have... Well, we have 5 altogether, so
Right.
Sid, what is one of these things you wish you knew when you were 18,
All right.
all those years ago?
4 years. These have been honestly like that sounds humorous, but I've
Yeah.
grown twice as much in the past 4 years than I have in my entire life.
Well, that's what I was going to say, like a little quick disclaimer. Like, it might sound weird that we're talking about this. We're still young dudes, 22, 23, but these past, like, 4 years of our lives, like, after you graduate high school and move off, like, you figure out so much more about yourself, and you learn so much more than you did in the first 18 years of your life. So I think it's, like, cool to look back and reflect on that, even though we're still pretty young.
Yeah. So if you're 18, get ready because you're about to learn.
And if you're 16, keep enjoying it for a couple years.
If you're 16, get a kickstart and like start being introspective and listen to the advice we give today. Because even if you're 12, or even if you're 40, or even if you're 60, or even if you're 80, there's always something that you can do better. You know, none of us are ever complete.
I wonder, are there any podcasts whose target demographic is like 5-year-olds? I doubt it because they don't listen to podcasts.
Kid shows.
Yeah, but like
Those are TV.
I don't feel
television.
like I don't feel like they have the attention span to listen to a podcast.
Maybe that's where we
I'm
should.
gonna make my kid listen to podcasts.
They'll be smart kids. All right. Okay. I'm gonna
First
get to
thing-
this. Who's ready for a dissertation? Hands raised? No? Okay. Well, I have a little bit of one. It's only like a paragraph, so it's all good. So the main thing here is the things you set as priorities in your life become real over the next few years. So when I was 18, I wish I knew that, because if I'd have known, I'd have just dedicated myself, set my priorities right, and I could be in a different place right now, it would have changed everything. And I have an example of this. So when we're in school, our main priority is school. That's pushed on us by our teachers and our parents. And what happens? Almost everybody goes to college. And some would see that as a huge goal being met because it takes 12 years to lead up to that and then another 4 years. And yet it seems like something that's just kind of casual in what you're supposed to do. But that is the direct result of somebody's priorities being materialized. And so I think that's really crazy. Like, school is so important. You shouldn't take that down as your priority, but I think you should put some other things up there, whether that's your passion, whether that's your family. I mean, family is really important, or your faith. Putting those at the forefront of your life can be one easy decision that can have rippling effects over your entire life. Just by putting those at the forefront of your attention as a priority in your life just makes so many differences. And I've realized that in my life, that when I just focus on something that's important to me and I really dedicate myself to it, it could be just as easy for me to just not do that. But the result of that, a day goes by anyways, but if I spend that day focusing on something that matters in my life, at the end of the day, I'm better than I was.
Yeah.
And I'm saying a lot, but like another way I want to say that is like in high school, this is kind of like another slant on this, but being sincere is better than being cool. Because down the road, if you're the kind of person that's just focused on pleasing somebody, being the center of attention, you're going to become a different person than if you just focus on being a sincere person that cares, going out of your way for that kid whose books got slammed in the floor, instead of being the guy that's pushing his books in the floor to make your friends laugh. And setting your priority, setting them correctly by putting others before yourself, like the Bible tells us, really determines who you become. And so, like, I just want to emphasize that setting your priorities literally determines who you are in the future. And like, I'm sure you guys have heard how whoever your friends are, that's who you become in the next 5 years. And before that, it was whatever book you read is like who you become. And now it's like whatever TV you watch is who you become. Lord knows we watch horrible TV. Those are the old sayings of the old wise sayings that your grandma and your mom and dad tell you. And they couldn't be more true, honestly. And they're the most important when you're around 18 and younger because, like we've said, we grow so much in those 4 years. You know what I'm saying? And do you want to grow straight or do you want to grow crooked off to the side? It's your choice, and it all comes down to what you put at the forefront of your life. So that was a lot. That was very... it wasn't a conversation, so I'm sorry. That kind of didn't fit with our podcast, but...
You're really passionate.
What are your guys' thoughts on that?
What are your thoughts, man?
Well, I was going to kind of pick up off that on my own points because he's right. Like, you just... you can't listen. Like, when you're young, you want to listen to other people and you don't want to listen to other people. And some people listen to other people way too much, and they just, like... they want to get attention, they want to like be loved and stuff, but that is sometimes can go the wrong way. Like Sid was saying, you end up pleasing other people instead of yourself for the wrong reasons, and you become the bully that you never wanted to be, or you become the guy that picks on somebody, not necessarily physical, but mentally, something like that.
And that you might just be like the bully who can justify it and be like, oh, I was harmless, he's fine, we were all just joking. And not only are you hurting that person, but that's gonna escalate in your life. And what's the next step after being a bully? Crime.
Yeah.
I mean, don't underestimate yourself. It's a lot easier to fall into the wrong things in life than you think. That's why faith is so important, because we couldn't do it without God. If we didn't have God in our lives, we'd all be a mess. We'd all be just anarchists, honestly. So I agree.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to have foresight when you're 18, 19 years old and realize the things that you're prioritizing in life right then is what is going to affect your life when you're 40, 50 years old.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're not 40, 50 years old. We're only 23, but we have gained the foresight that the things we're focusing on now in life are the building blocks to like our ideals in life and our careers and everything else. So, yeah, like take it seriously what you're prioritizing right now, because it's really going to have a big impact, especially over the next 4 to 5 years of your life, because like we said, these last 4 years of our lives, we've learned more about ourselves than we have in our entire lives. And we've like now I'm getting to the point, I'm getting married in like 7 months, and I'm getting into a point in my life where I don't have time to build myself anymore. I'm gonna have to be who I'm gonna be. Like, I've got to focus on my career. I've got to focus on my wife and all these other things. So before that, I really need to make sure that I'm in a good place with myself.
Mm.
Kind of goes back to what I was saying last week about it was good for me to break up with Mackenzie for a year or two in order to kind of like figure out who I was before we got back together, because if you don't know who you are by the time you're 25, 26, then you're going to run out of time to figure that out. You've got a bunch of other stuff going on in your life. So just kind of make it a priority to kind of figure out what your goals and ideals are in life really early on.
Yeah. The other cool thing about that is, outside of you want to do this to prevent becoming a bad person, you can use it to create yourself into who you want to be. If you want to be a very talented pianist, put that as a priority now. All it takes is if you're thinking about it as a recipe, it takes a conscious decision, a little bit of discipline, and time. We've all got an abundance of time, so just the first step is making that decision and then following through with it. And yeah, I mean, you can literally create who you become.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little harder than that, but like, you can do that. Just decide now. Like, make that decision. Who do you want to be? And make that decision now, because it's harder to change when you get older.
Well, counterpoint to that about saying we have an abundance of time. Time goes a lot quicker than you think. I mean, we have a lot of time in the grand scheme of things, but also, these past 4 years have gone by. Past 4 or 5 years have gone by much quicker. Like, I can't even.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it seems like yesterday that I was graduating high school, and now like I feel like a totally different person, and I'm gonna start my career and get married this year. It's crazy, and time flies. So don't take time for granted.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, you guys ready to move on to the next thing?
Yeah, that was number 1. So
that's the number one thing we wish we knew. When we were
no,
18.
that was our first number 1 out of 5. In no particular order.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay.
Okay, so the first thing I thought about so this is number 2. The first thing I thought about when we started talking about this was I really just wish I would have known what I wanted to be in life, like career-wise. And I know a lot of people when they are 18 have already got that stuff figured out, but I sure didn't. And, going with this, I really wish I would have understood how many career paths there actually are, because I was just pigeonholed into thinking like these, there was these couple pathways I could take. I could be an engineer, I could be an architect. If I wanted to go the medical route, I could be a doctor of some sort. But there are so many specific little career paths that you don't really know about or explore until you're in college. So I really just wish I would have known at that age how many routes I had that were available to me.
Yeah.
Hunter, what about you on that?
That's one of my things too. Is just knowing what was all out there. Like, for me growing up, I wanted to be a lot of things. I wanted to be an engineer, an architect, preferably like a computer engineer, what I was saying. or a lawyer or a U.S. Marshal. I had all these things I wanted to be, and in high school it was like U.S. Marshal. I was like gun ho, like yeah, I wanted to do that. Then it was like a lawyer when we started doing the
Youth and government?
Youth and government. It was like being a lawyer, and then when I got to college, it was computer science, and then it changed to business. And I just like looking back now. I just wish somebody would have told me like, look, you can choose anything you want. You don't have to listen to these people. You don't have to listen to, oh, this is the most expensive job out there. Go for this. Don't choose it for money. Choose it for like what you're really interested in. Because looking back now, I was more interested in like just the money aspect of the whole thing. Like which job gets me the most money. All right, I'm gonna start doing this because it was like other people like telling me like for instance, if I wanted to become like an artist or something, people would say no, that you're not gonna make any money doing that. You should be a doctor or a lawyer. It just got like annoying when people told you that until you eventually caved in and said, okay, I'm going to go this route because it's the most expensive route or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, for example, what I was saying about how I didn't know how many different career paths there were. I'm doing IT right now. I'm getting an IT degree, and within IT, I would always saw like programming or maybe hardware engineering. But there's so many other routes in like networking and building networks, and security is a totally different field, and programming is a totally different. So like within each little category, I mean even engineering, when I wanted to be an engineer, that's all I knew is I wanted to be an engineer. I didn't know if I wanted to be a civil engineer or a mechanical engineer or a computer engineer. Like within these little pockets of whatever, there are so many opportunities, and I wasn't given that information, I don't think, early enough until I was already in college and trying to figure everything out.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just realized I didn't answer your question. But yeah, there is definitely a lot more options in like computer science. And like for me, like when I found out I wanted to be a business like management degree, I didn't realize how many different like opportunities you can do with just that one degree.
Yeah.
To the point where it like scared me because there were so many different choices. Like which choice would I make? Like which choice is the best? Which choice is the easiest or something?
And I have a controversial opinion here. I think that you should pursue what makes you happy and what makes you passionate. Not only because the old saying, do what makes you happy because that's what you're going to be good at. That's what's going to make you happy and lead to a more, fulfilled life. But also, like, you can use most any degree to get a job. Like, if you're going down the specific pathway like engineering, you have to have an engineering degree. But, like, for instance, a sociology degree, you don't just become a sociologist. There's so many things you can do with that. And the first person that ever introduced me to marketing, which is what I have a degree in, had a sociology degree. So, like, if you have something that might not seem like the best option, go after that, because these days it's becoming less about which degree you have and just about the fact that you have a degree.
Or like skill.
Especially when it comes to like entry level jobs, because everybody has to start an entry level job. They don't need you to have the specific degree that goes with that specific thing in most cases.
Yeah.
And that might not always be great advice, like for engineering or IT, but I think in a lot of cases, like, because I agree with you, I wish I knew all this, but still, that might even be overwhelming because it's so difficult.
Well, that's why something else I'll recommend if you're 18 or younger even, and you have no idea what you want to do, something I didn't really consider or know about before I went to school was like, and something I'll recommend is do the first year college program. The first year college program at NC State, which is where I went to school for a couple years at least. Like you go in and do all your generic classes, and then while you're doing that first year of college, you're figuring out, you're exploring all of these career opportunities, but you're still actually in college, you're still getting the credit. And I think if I would have done that, I would have been a lot more likely to find what I wanted to do during those semesters that I was at NC State. Yeah. I just went in as a business major, and I was kind of locked in at that point. And that's why I also would recommend at this point to consider community college.
Yeah.
Because you can go to community college and get an associate's degree, just a kind of generic degree, and get a lot of your early generic college classes out of the way, and in those 2 years or so that you're getting that degree, just kind of figure out what you want to do. I mean, you don't need to rush into things necessarily.
Yeah.
You just need to like take some time to explore your options.
Clayton and I both did community college, and I couldn't be more of an advocate. The quality of education could arguably be less, but what I've come to realize is that just because you go to a better school doesn't always equal better teachers. I mean, I've met some of the professors at community college that are more passionate than even the best professors at UNC Charlotte. So I think community college is a great option. I basically got through those 2 years for free.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so cheap that it doesn't make sense not to do it.
Well,
but that's
what I've learned about higher education. No matter if you're at Harvard or if you're at a community college, you get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah, that's
So
absolutely
if you're
true.
at community college, and it might not be as high caliber of education, but if you're pouring yourself into it totally and learning as much as you can, and maybe even going outside of class and learning even more, you're going to get almost just as much out of that as somebody that's doing their first year at Harvard.
Yeah.
And that's hard to. I mean, I would have even thought that was a thing back when I was 18. I would have thought that sounds insane, but
Yeah.
now that I've had some higher education, I understand like nobody holds your hand. So you're only getting out of it what you put into it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Half of me wants to say that you should go 4 years, and the other half's like, no, because your 3 years in college that I did was mostly filled with classes that I didn't even need. Like for example, like I took classes that like NASCAR history and like scuba diving.
You might
Well,
use that one day, man.
Let's be real though. You chose those because your friends told you that those were easy.
No. I chose those because those are interesting.
Okay.
I never
Fair enough.
chose an easy class because trust me,
I'm sorry. I just heard guys that talked about classes like that. They were like,
that
yeah, I
class
just
was
got
actually
in it.
hard.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay. My bad.
because
then.
you would have to write 10-page essays on
yeah,
on a
that's,
movie.
That's not very nice.
No, and so, but like, what was that? Yeah, back to what I was saying. I always chose interesting classes because I wanted to make it interesting. Because I found out my first year of college that the easy classes were the ones that sneak up on you and get you C's,
Yeah.
That's true.
and the hard classes I'd be totally focused on. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I can put that easy class aside. I'm gonna do this
Yeah.
hard class right now. The end of the week comes, you haven't done any homework for your easy class. You're like, crap. It's still a lot of work.
Yeah.
Even though it's easy.
That's so true, man.
Like I made a B. I should have made an A, but I made a B in a movie class because
Yeah.
it's basically watching all the Marvel movies and
Yeah.
comparing them. And so, but my other half of my brain says that no, you should go to community college first because you save so much more money.
Yeah.
But like it goes back and forth because I learned a lot.
Yeah. And I don't
Socially.
think those 3 years were a waste, like you said just now, socially. But also, like, who knows that if you didn't have those 3 years of college, you might have had a different career path that you didn't really feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
Like, those three first, like Clay was talking about, they always have programs, and you get exposed to so many different things from the people you interact with that, I went into college with, like, a completely different idea of what I wanted to be than when I came out. So, just, you don't all have to decide right away. Just keep your mind open. But at the same time, like, the whole point, number 2, is to, I'm drawing a blank. Well, can you, like, say it again?
The point
No, our number 2.
about just wishing I would know how many career options there were before I had to make a decision on my career choice or
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh yeah.
So, but we have YouTube now, and, like, it's a little bit easier,
Yeah.
I think, now than it used to be. Master classes, just go. You can literally see a job description of the most specific jobs.
Something I'll say real quick before we move on is, say you go to university, and in those first 1 or 2 years you have some elective credits, and I know a lot of freshmen go ahead and get their PE out of the way, some kind of generic electives, but I would challenge you, if you don't really know what you want to do with your life, maybe take some electives that are just interesting to you that
Yeah.
maybe you could transition into that major.
Yeah.
My first year I took a linguistics class, and I decided, like, oh, I really like this stuff. I mean, I obviously didn't choose it as a career path from their own, but that was something I never would have known I was interested in unless I took that class.
Yeah.
And so maybe wait until your senior year to take your PE class, and your freshman year take a class that maybe just broadens your interests.
Word.
Yeah, that reminds me. I took a artistic class where we went over paintings, and we discussed all the history of all the different paintings, the famous paintings. like the tidal wave of the tsunami of the Japanese painting, for example. There's the it was so broadening because it just made me like realize like there's so much more to life than you know, like, and it was like that with art. It was like that with like other things too. Like I know I say scuba diving, but there was so much interesting things that go along with what scuba diving is.
That's fascinating.
It's scary. It's
Yeah.
like, but yeah, like I would definitely like branch out and look at other things. Like I'm trying to think of another example, but
Well, this goes for high school too. Like, there's electives in high school.
oh yeah, like I took electronics
Yeah.
or like not electronics, but
Yeah.
something circuit boards, and the other thing I took was metals.
Don't do what your friends are in. Do
Yeah.
what like you really are interested in, because it'll pay off in the end. Like, I don't mean to be a downer, but you might not be hanging out with those people after high school. And like, what's more important is that you're investing in yourself, because you're always going to be with you. Other
And you
people aren't.
You get to meet more people that you never knew you thought you'd meet. Cause
Yeah, you
you
might
guys
find
never
your-
took the classes I took, or not.
Thank
Like,
goodness I wasn't in those classes. with you.
Y'all didn't take the electives I did because, well, not because I think it's just there was different classes, right? But
I took
anyways,
the easy stuff. I took like newspaper and yearbook, and I was just cruising. Man.
sounds like
I
fun.
know metals. It wasn't hard, but I literally just like sat there in class.
it was every class was easy in high school, to be honest with you,
True.
because metals was
Well,
easy
for us.
and I'm sure.
Well, compared to
wait,
college too.
didn't I have a class with you in newspaper journalism or something?
Yeah, I think you were in journalism.
Okay, but yeah,
You were my underling. I was the senior editor. I got to tell you what
it
to
was.
do.
But I kind
Very
of liked it
nice.
because I did all the pictures. I wrote articles on all the baseball players and took the picture and then posted it on an article. It was fun. But like I never would have known how it was to be like that kind of person. Like what if I enjoyed that so much that I became a newspaper article
Yeah.
guy or whatever? Like you
Yeah,
wouldn't
you would
know
never know unless you try.
unless you try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why this is a great point.
Yeah.
Branch out, experiment.
All right.
Not with drugs.
Let's move on to what our number 3 thing is that we wish we knew when we were 18. Hunter, what would you wish? What is it?
Well, honestly, I feel like we're all saying the same thing because mine was the power of building and investing in yourself and how it can be so useful in the future. But
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different than kind of where we've been going. Just having that foresight when you're that young to know the decisions you make need to be decisions that invest in yourself.
yeah,
Don't invest in others at that age too heavily.
Yeah, and I think that's great, because that's so important. Like, we're not talking about don't care for people.
Yeah.
Like, always go out of your way to be nice. But when it comes down to it, don't put all your effort into your so-called friends, because, you're more than likely not going to be seeing them again. And unless they're building you up and making you a better person, which I honestly feel like most high school friends don't do, just in general, like, don't give that too much importance, because it doesn't matter. Like, it really, like, it just doesn't so much. Like, I just, like, have this passion in me because I just know how it feels to be in high school and feel like that's your world, and it's just not.
I mean, I'm still best friends with all my best friends in high school, but that's a rare thing. Like a lot of people come out and they never really see those people again necessarily. I mean, they're still technically friends with them. Maybe you move away and you just don't get to see them as much. I mean, I know there's a lot of friends I had in high school that I'm no longer I'm still friends with them. I'll be nice to them and everything when I see them, but I'm not texting them on the daily or anything. And even my best friends from high school, Hunter is really the only one I hang out with like regularly anymore. So just it's weird to say, because when you're like you say, you're in your own little world in high school, and you don't really understand what's coming.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing.
No, that's
We have the insight because we're a little bit older, but when you're 18, you don't really understand what's coming.
Yeah. And that's not to say you should just be a douche to people. Like, you're still allowed to have fun with friends. We're not saying that. We're just saying, like, I know me personally, I made decisions that were, like, you're talking, the whole point here is making decisions for your future. I made decisions that weren't the best out of peer pressure, out of just wanting to fit in. And like, having that foresight or that insight into the past, like, you don't need to do that to win people over, because if you need to do that, they're the people that are going to drag you into things you don't want to be in.
Yeah.
And the people that really care about you, and I can think back and think of those people. Those are the people that didn't actually care what I did. Like if I said no and I disagreed, they liked that because it felt refreshing, as opposed to like all these little yes men cliques in high school where it's like, yeah man, cool. And we've all been that. Like we can't. I'm not saying that as if I'm better. Like I was like that too. But you can become bigger than that. And yeah.
Well, there's a reason in high school you're like that. I think a lot of people in high school don't broaden their perspectives enough.
Mm-hmm.
They stay with what's safe. They say yes to everything, and they do the cool thing because they don't want to broaden their perspectives. They just want to stay safe. But I think that's the challenge we're giving, is kind of go outside of that a little bit and maybe challenge some of the things your friends are saying and doing, and challenge yourself and try to grow as much as you can at that young age, so that when you're 23, you'll be way beyond what we are now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's the thing.
Another thing I want to say is like, all right, I'm just gonna say it because this is like one of the things I struggle with in high school, is because like I was heavily invested in like what girls thought of me, and so that would really change the way I acted around other people, and so like I was always trying to be everyone's friend and be nice to everyone, but also I was like in the back of my mind I wanted to impress other people. And like maybe they would go. I wanted to be the nice guy that all the girls liked. Like that's the way. I don't know how that's happened, but it just became my thing where I just wanted to be known as the nice guy, and then eventually some girl would like me. But I was so heavily invested in that it started becoming so like negative. Like, have you guys seen Big Mouth?
Yeah, I mean a couple.
You know the Shame Wizard?
No, I haven't seen that many episodes.
Okay, well there's a shame wizard in it. And basically what he does is he tells you like the opposite of what you're trying to like do. Like for me it was like, okay, like if I liked a girl, then I would like do these things to impress her. But then this back in my mind it would be like, oh, you're too fat, or you're too stupid, or you're too ugly to do these things and stuff.
That was just me behind you.
I knew you'd say that.
It's true.
But yeah, I just wish this is another thing that people struggle with in high school. I know it, and it should be talked about. Is like your own self-image, and it goes along with what you were saying about thinking about other people. It makes you think about the way you act towards other people, the way you think about yourself. And I just wish that I could take my mind and put it back into that body of my 18-year-old self, but like, I mean, still have the same mind as I do now. Just the confidence and the realization that, like, looking back, it was me telling me those things. It wasn't other people.
Yeah.
Nobody ever told me that, like,
Amen.
Like that I wasn't good enough for that person, or that I wasn't attractive enough. It was me telling me those own things, and I don't know why. And,
That's so spot on.
And when you have like a girl from your past like come up and say like, oh yeah, I used to like you so much. I was just so shy to come and talk to you. And then you realize like, holy crap, like I felt the same way, but I never acted upon it because I was the person telling me I should.
Yeah. I think maybe I didn't struggle with that as much because I had a girlfriend all throughout high school who was there to kind of validate me and make me feel, I felt good about myself because I was able to have a girlfriend and keep a girlfriend. So maybe even do that for your friends, I mean, make your friends feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to necessarily do that, but I mean, say validating things and congratulate them when they do cool things. And
yeah, you'll have more friends than you know if you just are nice.
Because
and uplifting.
everybody at that age just needs to be validated in some way. And if they're not validated, they're going to tell themselves these lies of like, I'm not good enough. And so just be that person for somebody. And if you have a girlfriend or boyfriend, be that for them, to validate them, let them know that they're good enough, because I mean they are. Like,
yeah, like look, all right, like look, let's go back. I know this is gonna be weird, but let's go back to how I was freshman, sophomore year of high school versus junior and senior year. Like, you could say that I was totally different from freshman and sophomore to junior and senior, right?
I didn't know you. I didn't know you as much in junior, senior.
Okay. Well, yeah, you did. That's when we started hanging out, was junior, senior year.
Sid wasn't there.
I was not at Burns. I knew you from freshman, sophomore.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely say that, and I think that's true for everybody. I was a different dude when I was a freshman.
But what I was gonna say is, I started dating my ex-girlfriend in junior year, and then I feel like I was totally different. Like I just felt
Yeah. Well,
like
I mean,
a different person altogether.
you have a confidence boost,
Yeah.
and it makes you, like I said, it makes you feel validated. And
Well, do you think that there was a difference?
I definitely think there was a
Okay,
difference.
so
There was
you
an
saw a
incredibly
difference.
huge difference. But the hunter you became when you started dating her is kind of who you are now. Like a little, like you've grown and you're a lot different. But that's when you started becoming the hunter you actually are.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we're saying like you have to have a girlfriend, you have to have a boyfriend, but you need some support systems in your life in order to feel validated and in order to feel like you're good enough.
Mm.
Because I mean, if you have those, then that's when you start to build your real personality, because you don't feel like you have to be making something up for it. You don't have to be fake for anybody.
Yeah. The time I really built my personality was in these past 4 years, and it's when I just kind of stopped, like you were talking about, what I kept saying was spot on. Like, you stopped making yourself who you thought everybody saw you as, and you just became who you were and started to actually like to get down to it and be like, actually, who am I? Not just like, what do I think they think of me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a huge deal. Is like when you figure that out, it's so refreshing, because then you have the confidence to know that 9 out of 10 times people aren't thinking those negative thoughts. That's just your subconscious, and you just
Yeah.
push that down, or better yet, just get it out and just be real and don't worry about it. Like,
And if you're having those thoughts about other people, then
you need to stop.
Then stop. Like,
Yeah.
If
Life's
you're-
hard enough.
Don't be judgmental towards other people, because then that brings insecurities within yourself. Because
Yeah.
if you're judging people, you're gonna be thinking they're judging you back.
That's so true.
But if everybody would just kind of chill out with that, and just
Well, if you
be
think
nice
about
to
it,
each other.
most of the people that judge other people are doing it themselves.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just a circle. Everybody
Yeah.
does it to everybody, and if everybody listens to this podcast, if they would set the example.
Yeah.
Maybe they can make a change.
Yeah.
Or
All right, that was number 3. What's number 4, Sid?
okay, it's gonna sound similar.
I guess they all sound pretty
They're
similar.
all
But
we all think
we
the
are
same.
talking about
We all
one
think
era
the
of our
same.
life. So when we were 18, these are the things that would have been most helpful. And you'll see some trends here, but there is a lot that we're going over. Like, this is going to sound very similar, but I think there's something different here. So, and this has exceptions, but the people in high school are almost exclusively unimportant to my future. I don't want to say they're not important then, because people in high school did help me become who I was, but all the time and effort I gave into like trying to wonder if they like me and all that didn't do anything. Just their influence with me helped do something. And like we were talking about just a minute ago, if we could be nicer and focus on like having more real relationships with those people, then the influence they have in our lives will only be strengthened and be more positive. And so I also put here, especially girls, I feel like girls are even less important than friends, because it almost always just leads to heartbreak, which is important because, at the same time, like...
Well, that heartbreak is what defines us.
It is. I'm just trying to put things in perspective. I'm not saying don't have experiences, because when you're in high school, it is completely social. But I'm just trying to like give some perspective to let you know that if it is something you're really stressing about, it's not that important. It's important in that these experiences kind of help shape you and mold you a little bit. But at the same time, it's like not so important that it's your life. Like, you should have a little perspective and realize and rise above that. And that, I wish I knew that, because I used to we all used to get so hurt at little things and just depressed and scared and insecure. And the other thing is, like, I watched Napoleon Dynamite last night. High school is just like that. If you watch Napoleon Dynamite and think, man, this is such a drab, lame thing, wait 5 years till you're out of high school. It's exactly what high school. That is the essence of high school, Napoleon Dynamite. Everybody's awkwardly in class. That jock thinks he's so cool, but he's like just weird. Napoleon.
In his mind, everyone thinks he's cool.
Yeah.
But in reality, everybody's like, who is this fool?
And then all these people are just sitting in this classroom, and then the most popular girl is like doing this sign language lame thing. Like,
oh my god.
And she was the most popular in the school. That is high school. And like,
Did you ever put tater tots in your pocket?
I had
Dude,
food.
I swear somebody did in our high school.
No.
I swear.
I put
saw
food in
it.
my backpack for later, like which is the same thing, and it would get smushed up, and like
I honestly-
I would still eat it. When you're young, we're just starving. I'm still starving all the
Something
time.
happened freshman. Oh no, it was me. I did it.
You put tater tots in your pocket?
Yeah, I had cargo shorts on.
Of course you had cargo shorts
They were
on.
blue and white, and then somebody thought
Blue
it'd be a
and
good
white.
idea if I put tater tots in a cookie bag. You know how the cookie bags?
Yeah.
I put them in the cookie bag and twisted them up, and somebody was like, "Give these to me later on in the day," and I was like, "Okay,"
Why didn't they just take them?
because they didn't have cargo pants. So I put them in my cargo pants, and I carried them around the whole day.
That's great.
And then when the hour came to give it to this guy, they were smushed and
Yeah.
mushy, and he was like, "Thanks, man." And then I saw him literally like slurp it out of the
Dude,
bag.
what's wrong
Oh.
with that?
That was disgusting.
It's the same food. It's just smushed up.
Yeah.
True, but
Well, let me say one more thing, and I'm trying to like wrap this up because I don't want to say it's not important. People are so important at this part of your life, and you should seek out those people because they're gonna, at the end of the day, high school will impact you in some way or another. So make it the best you can, but do that by not choosing who's most popular, but choosing the people that you feel like can benefit your life, enrich your life, that are like-minded. That's what's most important. And above all, don't make compromises for people. Because if
Yeah.
they're a real friend to you, you don't have to do X to be cool. You don't have to go to drink with them to be cool. Or peer pressure should not be a part of friendship, period. And of
Yeah.
course, you're in high school where it's everywhere. But, you know, have that perspective that you don't have to make compromises for people. And if they expect you to, then they're not your friend, period. Like, that's my number 4.
Yep. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I have a slightly different perspective because I have a high school sweetheart who I started dating in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing for me to think about because I guess at that point in 12th grade and 11th grade, I had no idea that we were going to be getting married.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that everybody who has a girlfriend or boyfriend in 12th grade is like, this is who I'm going to marry. You know, it's like
Yeah.
that's just what you're thinking in your head. And it's weird because like you want to treat those situations seriously because
You never
like,
know.
in my case, it is legitimately who I'm marrying.
Yeah.
So, no, I understand what you're saying though.
Well, it's nice that we can both be on the extremes because I 1000% agree with you. And like, look at us. We were all friends in high school, and now we're still hanging out. Like, it's not to say that things can't come of that. I'm just saying to be careful. And like, I think it's productive for me to take that kind of extreme stance, and then for you to level that
Yeah.
out.
I think for most people, the friends you make in college are much more lifelong friends than the friends you had in high school.
Yeah.
Because like college is hard, and the friends you have there, that's your support system. Like you really grow a really tight bond with your college friends because of how difficult life is at that point in your life. So
yeah, just to interject on that, like that for me, college, like after the things happened with my ex and me, I started like really getting depressed and stuff, and then I was, you know, in a situation where I just didn't want to get out of my room, and my roommates like validated me, got me going out with them, having fun with them, and then it grew to being like fraternity. Like my fraternity validated me. They built me up. Like every time they saw me, they'd be like, "Hunter Bomb," you know, like, and it just made me feel so much better to have like that community to validate me, and like that goes along with what you're saying. Like,
yeah, I think people that are in college, like you go out and you become an adult. Like you got to go out and be on your own in college, and so like you're a lot nicer of a person in college. Like you don't judge people as bad, and you're just nice to everybody because you know how hard it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have that perspective in high school. So the friends that you might have in high school that might be your best friends now, like just wait until you get to college and just like you might have much better friends then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I say, I'm still best friends with most of my best friends in high school because, like, for us it's a small town.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. So. All right. Well,
Number 5.
number 5, last thing. This is kind of more practical and more general. I just wish I would have known all of the adult things. Like, I wish I would have known how to do my taxes, how to, like, set up a 401k, how to invest in something. I mean, all of these things are things I had to eventually learn on my own or have my parents kind of step me through when it comes to taxes because, you don't learn any of that stuff. Well, at least I know some people learn that in school because they have better public education. We're in North Carolina. I don't know how great our public education system is, but I just wish I would have known how to be an adult, like
Yeah.
how to bake something, how to make a casserole. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many things that you have to learn on your own when you become an adult that I wish I would have learned when I was a little bit younger.
What's the solution to that? Just like independent study, or?
Home ec in high school, man. Every I've heard people talk about this before. Every high school should have home ec, and everybody should take it. Like,
Yeah.
you learn how to do a little bit of cooking. You learn how to do taxes, and you learn how to set up investment accounts and all this stuff. Like,
Dude, that's
Yeah.
like the most important thing.
It's
It's
very
those things.
important.
I remember
just
there was
said-
one class in middle school where I learned how to fill out a check,
I remember that class.
which I've never used because I don't have a checkbook, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I
not
wish
that
I
hard
had
to.
taken that book. or
I will
test.
say it's kind of, a reason we're going away from that a little bit is we've got the internet. Like, it's kind of easy to learn things on our own. Like, you
Yeah.
can learn all these things, but like it would have just been so nice to have some of that,
I
because
agree.
it's so stressful when you go to college and you got to figure out all this stuff on your own. And some people, their parents aren't there for them to help them. Like,
Yeah.
it's really difficult. So I just wish I wish that when I was a little younger, 17 and 18, I would have like actually cared about that stuff and actually wanted to learn about it. Because then when I went off to college, I was like, wow, I'm an adult now. I don't have, my parents aren't here. Like, what do I do?
It would certainly alleviate a lot of stress, because I know there's been times in my life where I, out of necessity, had to learn something like quickly, like
Yeah.
for taxes, for example. And it's so stressful. But like if I'd have had a little bit of a warning, a little bit of a preface, would have been a lot simpler.
I would just say gravitate towards people that know how to do that
Yeah, but how did they learn? Like,
from other people.
but wouldn't you want to be the one people are gravitating towards?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just
You're-
saying,
you
like, you
would-
can't be that person unless you gravitate to somebody that teaches you.
Yeah, well, if they would do a better job in high school of teaching that
Oh,
stuff.
by all means. I didn't
Well-
learn how to do all that stuff until college.
Something I want to know is how to grocery shop. Like, literally,
Yeah.
like learning nutrition and learning, like, here's what you need in a well-built, healthy, balanced
That's a
diet.
great
My
point.
parents fed me until I was 18. Then I go off to college, and I've got to go to the grocery store. Like, I'm sitting here buying pizza rolls, and
Yeah.
and I know all college students do that, but all this stuff like that I've learned about health and how to cook and how to buy groceries. I mean, that was all self-taught because I didn't learn any of that stuff before I went off to college.
I remember in elementary school they taught us about the food pyramid, but then they just
Yeah.
dropped it, and I didn't hear a single thing about it.
Anymore.
And then after I got out, they changed the food pyramid to be like vertical, and so everything I learned was like wrong. And
learned.
Well, the whole thing about the food pyramid is they taught it to us in second grade or whatever, but we weren't the ones buying our own food. Like,
Yeah.
we're not going to the grocery store by ourselves, and so it was really up to our parents. Like, I guess the whole thing was we were supposed to go home and tell our parents, hey, Mom, I learned about the food pyramid. Let's buy fruits and vegetables. But,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
it would have been a good high school class too. And I think there's plenty of time in high school. Like some of these classes feel redundant.
I think one class, one semester called home ec that you just kind of learn all of this random crap that you need to learn to be an adult. I think that'd be awesome. And I'm sure there's a ton of people that they probably listen to this, and there's a ton of schools that have that already. But we sure didn't have that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be perfectly blunt with you guys. There's a lot more people than we think that are like on the opposite end of the spectrum that don't have those kind of lives, that have like to know how to do these things just based on sort of survival.
Well, barely anybody I met in college did.
Well,
I mean,
that's because most people you meet in college have parents that pay for them to get there.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're going to college, and all your roommates and all your dorm mates, like, we're all on the same playing field of like, how the heck do we be adults?
I just want to make sure that way, like, everyone knows that the reason we're talking about these things is because we were fortunate enough to have these opportunities. But we're not saying everyone has these is acting this way. Some people know exactly what to do in this situation.
Yeah,
like-
I mean, we're privileged dudes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the majority of people that graduate high school and just have to go off and be an adult, like, the majority of people need a little help along the way. Like,
Oh yeah, I'm not saying we don't, but like for example, Lauren, she knows a lot about how to do all these things because she was homeschooled,
yeah, I mean, I can
and
see that.
so that was like one of her things that she got on me about is like, I didn't know how to do this, I didn't know how to do that, I should know how to do
You
these
probably
things.
still don't know how to do laundry.
Oh, I do too.
Well, that's you brought up a good point. I think in high school people start like separating themselves a little bit more. Like in middle school and elementary school, everybody is just like the same. But then you get into high school and you actually start thinking about, oh, this person has money, this person doesn't. This person wears Hollister, this person just wears clothes. And I think that you shouldn't judge people based on that. And also, like, the people that are kind of on the lower end of things, don't let that determine who you're going to be. Like, don't let that hold you down. Like, money in this world isn't as hard to come by as you think. If you work hard, you can make money. And there's some circumstances that people just get forced into that are harsh, but if you're willing to work, you can make money. So don't let anybody tell you that you're not good enough or you're not from the right family. And don't let yourself be put down by people that think they're better than you because of that. Rise above that.
Well, I think that's why we tend to see poor families stay poor.
Yeah.
Is because they don't think they have the same opportunities as everybody else. But I mean, and this is coming from me as a privileged guy, and I don't want to sound condescending, but we live in America, and everybody has the same opportunity. I mean, that's the American dream. And so if you come from a lower income home, like, don't let that shape kind of who you are. Take that and let it drive you, because you could be the next Bill Gates. I mean, you could do incredible things. You just have to be willing to work for it.
Yeah.
You know, nothing in life is easy.
And don't let condescending people hurt you either. Just realize that they're insecure in themselves, and if they're saying something or making fun of you for the way you dress or something, like, have some perspective. Look at that and just laugh and feel bad for that person, because that's sad. If somebody needs to put you down to make themselves feel better, then they're a sad person when it comes down to it. And everybody on this planet has opportunity. Some people have a lot. Some people are just given a lot naturally. Some people are given a little bit. But everybody has an opportunity.
Yeah.
So go take it. Don't limit yourself. That's kind of like an extra thing we added on there at the end, but Hunter brought that up, and I was like, that's good.
Yeah, I was just trying to play devil's advocate. I was wanting to keep going too. Like, what if I don't have any? Like, what if I don't have the opportunities that you had? Oh, let's get into this.
Everybody has an opportunity.
Okay.
Is my point. Some people's are smaller, some people are bigger, but everybody can go make themselves.
Give me an example. All right, my this is all fake, what I'm about to say, as a disclosure. For example, if I was in a situation where my parents were drug dealers and I was, their child, and they got caught, they went to the jail, and I grew up with my grandma or something, and she didn't have enough money to get me through college, so that was that. And so my opportunities are join a gang, make money doing it that way, or get a job. I go get a job, I get fired because they don't like the way I act or the way I grew up, or
that's all about your attitude. You can make your opportunities. Go get a part-time job and go to community college, and you can easily pay for community college with a part-time job at McDonald's. And then after you're done with those 2 years, maybe...
Well, they only pay me $7 an hour to work at McDonald's. How
well,
am I
that's illegal because that's under minimum wage.
$10.
Well, okay, you're talking about... when you said join a gang, they're kind of emulating their parents because their parents were drug dealers, right? So, have the perspective to be your own person. Don't look at your parents and say, that's what I have to become. Sometimes your parents are great examples and you want to be like that. But
what if I don't have parents to look up to? Who do I look up to?
That's my point. There's
a lot of people in life to look up to.
We have a Father in heaven.
What if I'm not religious? What if I grew up in that culture, and my culture is...
Everybody has the opportunity to meet God. Everybody has the opportunity to make it in this world.
We're talking about everybody has the same opportunity. The sad thing is not everybody is going to pursue that opportunity, but everybody's given that same opportunity. So it just makes you mad sometimes when people, I didn't have the same opportunities as this privileged white guy. Because you do. You have the same opportunities to make yourself, because this is America.
But it's easy for you to say that since you are a white privileged guy.
I think people have...
It's easy for anybody to say that because it is a fact that everybody has the same opportunities. Like I said, if you have nothing to go on, you can go get a minimum wage job and pay your way through an associate's degree in college, at which point you can apply for scholarships, get a scholarship through your job, go pursue a 4-year degree, and then you're the first generation to get a 4-year degree and make something of yourself.
I-
There are so many stories in America where people come from rags to riches, and just because that happened back in the 20s during this growth of America and the industrial age and all this stuff doesn't mean it can't happen nowadays. All of these opportunities still exist.
What if I can't find a job?
I don't know, okay, what are you
I
trying to
can
lead
find
us
you
to?
a job.
Because I don't want to be unproductive by like just asking all these.
I'm getting you guys to say exactly what I want you to say. Is basically what I'm
But
doing.
you can find a job. Like, there are so many people willing to pay high school and young workers minimum wage. Because if they can pay somebody minimum wage, why the heck would they pay a 30-year-old more? So, people that say they can't find jobs don't look. They're lazy and they don't go out and look. So,
Well, I think it's fair to say too that there are people that have it tougher than others. Some people,
yeah.
it's a breeze, but you can't look at that and feel bad for yourself. Say, that person has it so easy, I should have it that easy too. Unfortunately, that's not the way the world works, and there's always going to be somebody that has it easier than you and somebody that has it harder than you. Even the person that is at the bottom of the barrel, there's somebody out there that has it hard for them. Having that in your back pocket and just knowing that anything I do is isolated to me, and I can't look at other people and compare myself to that because it's not accurate. You know, you don't have it as easy as some people, and you have it better than some. So just go take what you have and make the best out of it.
Well, I'll say too, a lot of these stories you hear of people coming from rags to riches, they're the most successful people in life because they have more drive and more passion to become successful because they've had to come from nothing.
Yeah.
When you have some privileged white dude who, you know, he got his whole way paid through college, like where does his drive come in life? Like he's probably just gonna go make $50K a year, just live out the rest of his life. But if you're coming from a situation where you've been in a low income family, maybe you haven't had parental figures in your life, and you have this like drive and passion to make something of yourself, you're probably gonna go way above and beyond that privileged white dude making $50K. You might be his boss one day.
Yeah, and that privileged white guy is going to have his own obstacles with like insecurity.
Yeah.
And the like I guess a good way to put it is everybody has obstacles, and they may not seem equal to yours, and yours may seem more severe, but when it comes down to it, human beings all have pain, all have trials, all have heartache. It's just how life is. So never compare yourself to somebody. Never say that person has it easier than me, because that's so counterproductive. It's demeaning to yourself, and you're not giving yourself the credit that you deserve, because you're a God-made human being that's beautiful, and you have a life ahead of you, and it's what you make it. Every second you have a choice. Make the best one. Go do something that matters. It doesn't have to be money related. Go do something that makes you happy. Go do something for somebody else. Live your life, and if you do that every moment, you're going to be a fulfilled person, and you're going to be happy.
Just wake up every day and watch Shia LaBeouf say, "Just do it."
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Don't let your dreams be dreams, man.
Cool.
Well, that was good. So let's really quickly recap. I mean, we kind of went all over the place, and
Yeah.
we did have 5 main points. So the first point was
The first point was set your sights on where you want to be, and that's where you're going to become. Set your priorities in line early so that you can become who you want to be faster, and not get mixed up in who you don't want to be.
second point was understand that there are a lot more career paths and career opportunities than you might be aware of now, and it's important to explore those early on, and that makes it a lot easier to figure out what you want to do in life. What was the third one?
The power of building and investing in yourself.
Invest in yourself. And the fourth one?
That people are and I'm going to rephrase this because I like what you said. People are important, but not so important that they should be all your being. So put things in perspective. Don't make compromises for people, and find the people that you want to be in your life, the people that you want to emulate and be friends with, the people that enrich you.
Yeah, and then our fifth point was we just wish we knew how to be an adult, how to go to the grocery store and cook some food and maybe do our taxes and stuff.
Yep.
So if you are 18, 17, these are the 5 things you should start to learn now. So you have to figure them out later.
I feel like this is some decent advice, and some of it may seem obvious to you. Some of it might be an insight. But just be introspective. Like we always preach that on here.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something we all really believe in.
Because, I mean, I think I do that more than most people, where I sit back and I look back on my life and I look back on my decisions, and that really gives me a lot of insight into who I am and who I want to be.
Yeah.
And there are so many people who just go forward. They don't look back, and they're not learning from their mistakes.
Yeah. And we could be doing this same episode when we're 27 or 28. And what's interesting is if you're 18 right now, you can be thinking about what you should have done when you were 13. And that introspection can lead you to make realizations about what you should be right now. Because me investing this time into thinking about what I should do when I was 18 made a lot of things that I should be doing now crystal clear.
Yeah.
And so do it. It doesn't matter what age you are. Look back, think about what could have made you better, and then apply that to yourself now, because it's going to be relevant 5 years from now again.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these things are just constant threads, lessons in our lives,
Yeah. Well, that was good. That was fun.
Yeah, I
hope we accomplished our goal this week. I think we had a good conversation.
I think so. And if you have any that really stand out to you, put them in the comments. Let us know.
Yeah, get on in the comments below and talk to us, because we're lonely humans and we need conversation.
And what you say could help somebody that reads it, it's nice to know that there's other people out there that feel the same way you do. So just voice your thoughts on this.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess until next week when we talk to you in your ear holes again. Godspeed and good conversations. Thanks for listening to this episode of Young Adult's Guide to Planet Earth. We hope you enjoyed the conversation.
If you want to join the conversation, make sure to join us on Twitter @YoungAdultGuide and Instagram @YoungAdultsGuide.
And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell if you want to be notified. Like, comment, and join the conversation.
Talk to you next week.